Welcome to Play Pedagogy, an introduction. My name is Kerry Truesdale and I work for the Early Years Pedagogy team in Scottish Borders Council. We're really excited to have been given the opportunity to develop our Play Pedagogy professional learning offer this year. This is our first session, an introduction to play pedagogy, and is intended for anyone who is new to their play journey and is looking to deepen their understanding of the need for play, to know more about what play is and how to plan and develop play pedagogy through experiences, spaces and interactions. It is intended not only for Primary 1 practitioners, but will also be useful for anyone teaching or working with Primary 2 or a composite early first level class. This session will follow the SBC Way training format, starting with core input. There will be an opportunity to pause and reflect throughout the presentation. At the end of the presentation, you will be set a follow-up activity. Please complete this to use and discuss during the follow-up session presented live via Teams. Dates and further information can be found in our SBC Way implementation planning, which should have been shared with you by your senior management team. We've also included it at the end of this presentation for your reference. Teachers interested in deepening their knowledge and understanding, networking and working collegiately with other SBC teachers can join the Play COP or explore the SBC Play Padlet. Dates and further information can be found in the SBC Play Pedagogy Implementation Planning document dated 2024-25. Before we get started, we would like to share a professional learning timeline for play pedagogy. Throughout the year, we are providing a variety of opportunities to engage with professional learning for play pedagogy. Our core input training is being delivered through pre-recorded sessions, the first one of which you are listening to now. The orange dots indicate pre-recorded training sessions for you to engage with any time. The dates you see are provided as a guide as to when you might want to watch them, depending on where you are in your play pedagogy journey. Turquoise dots indicate the dates of our follow-up sessions to the core input. These sessions will provide the opportunity to come along and share any follow-up activities that have been set as part of the core input training and as a space to reflect and ask further questions or advice if needed. The blue dots indicate our Primary 1 communities of practice, which will be in person 4 times over the school year. There will be an opportunity to connect with others, share practice and collaborate with teachers across the borders on various stages in their journey. These are the aims of this session. We will first explore why play. Then we will consider what is play, ending with planning and developing play pedagogy through our spaces, experiences and interactions.
Hello, my name's Naomi Sessard from the Early Years Teacher team and I'll also be presenting some of today's training with Kerry. So why play? All children have the right to play, regardless of their age or stage, and child-centred pedagogy and learning through play are not new terms. The value of play and the need to ensure children have places and opportunities for play has been broadly recognised in Scottish, national and local policy, including Building the Curriculum 2, which was published as far back as 2007. Education Scotland tell us that play is essential to every child's physical, mental, social and emotional health and well-being. It is fundamentally important for developing 21st century skills such as resilience, problem solving, collaboration and creative and critical thinking. Children are born with an instinctive drive to learn through play and exploration. The focus of improvement across the Scottish Borders is to raise attainment and improve outcomes for all of our children. Whilst child-centred play pedagogy approach can't raise attainment on its own, when it is done well, it is fundamental to children's learning and development and has a positive impact on their well-being and engagement, and therefore their learning. In the Scottish Borders, we are actively promoting play pedagogy in Primary 1 and beyond to ensure a high-quality, consistent approach to children's learning across our authority.
Play is not wasted time for children. That there are all these things that children learn in play and that cannot be taught. They could really only be learned in play. They're learned in experience, and for children, experience comes from play. How to get along with other kids. That's probably the most important thing any of us has to learn, is how to get along with peers. How do you, in a social situation, get your needs met while making sure that the other people involved are getting their needs met? First of all, the word play is a word that we use in a lot of different ways. So what play means to me and most play researchers is it's an activity that is defined by the confluence of 4 different characteristics. So one characteristic is that it's self-chosen and self-directed. And I really emphasize that because, you know, we talk about our kids playing baseball or soccer when it's not self-chosen, and to me, even if it's self-chosen, it's not self-directed. So I don't consider that adult-directed activities to be play. Play is activity that children are choosing for themselves and directing themselves. It's really how children learn to create their own activities, how children learn to direct their own activities. The second characteristic of play is that it's intrinsically reinforcing, it's intrinsically motivating. You're doing it just because you want to do it. You're not doing it to get a trophy, you're not doing it to get praise from your parents or a teacher, you're not doing it for grades, you're not doing it to improve your resume, you're just doing it because you want to do it. And play is how children explore and learn what they like to do. It's how they develop their passions, their interests, and those who are lucky maybe go on and pursue careers at what they enjoy doing as children in play. So the third characteristic of play is seems a little counterintuitive to many people, and that's that it is always structured. We talk about unstructured play, but there's no such thing as unstructured play. It's always structured, and it's structured by the child or the children themselves if there's a group playing together. So play is really, it's not random, it's freely chosen, but it's not random activity. The children entering into play are putting themselves into a defined activity that they have in mind, and they're structuring their behavior in accordance with a set of rules which may be implicit or may be explicit. So play, the structure of play and the creation of rules about play is how children learn to create and abide by socially agreed upon rules. And the fourth characteristic of play is that there's always an element of imagination. Some play is more imaginative than others, but all play involves some kind of stepping out of the real world. You're in this pretend world. It's a play castle you're making if you're building a castle. If you're little children playing, you know, goblins or witches or Wonder Woman or whatever it is, you're pretending to be somebody that you normally aren't, and you're following out that role. The most important material, if you will, for play for any kid is kids to play with. You know, some people might like to think that kids are naturally attracted to the great outdoors, but that's sort of a cultivated interest. Kids are naturally attracted to other kids, and the most important stimulant for play is other kids to play with. As long as there's something there, they'll find something. That you don't have to have elaborate toys, you just have to have space and opportunity. Everybody's concerned about learning, they're not concerned about happiness. So now I've learned to say that because children learn so much in play that they can't learn in any other way. Things that can't be taught, they learn in play. That automatically invites at least another question. Oh, what do they learn? And then I get to talk about all the value of play. And then I can slip in, oh, and by the way, it also makes children happy, you know, as an incidental side benefit.
Don't push them too high. So from Dr. Peter Gray's video, we have learned that play is not wasted time. We really need to value children's play. There are lots of skills that children learn through play, and we must take time to recognise what children are learning through their play and also support them to recognise this. As he told us in the film, Play must be self-chosen and self-directed. This is really useful to remember when planning for play. When we plan for play, we've got to give children time, space and freedom to choose what they play. And for true play, it's got to be intrinsically motivated, not a planned, playful activity set up by the teacher. So to help us further understand play, we're going to have a look at the 12 features of play which were developed by Professor Tina Bruce. And these help us to recognise the most obvious characteristics of young children's learning through play. The features of play give us further insight into how children are learning, and they can be used as a tool to evaluate the quality of experiences that we offer them. Please pause the presentation to read what the 12 features of play are. So let's now consider a few of these. So children draw on first-hand experiences from their lives when creating play scenarios. So for example, recreating a recent trip to Grandma's house or recreating a recent visit to the supermarket. Every child will obviously have completely different experiences, and some children will have a wider variety of experiences than others. So the more experiences that we can provide our own children within our class, the richer their experiences will be. So for example, providing opportunities to visit the local park or the shops, or visit the local woodland or green space. Children use symbols, so they populate their play with props that represent real-world items. So for example, a rectangular block may become a book. It's therefore that we think about this within our own learning environments, and it's really important that we provide lots of open-ended loose parts materials for children to engage in this type of symbolic play. We must remember that children choose to play. It's a choice and cannot be forced to play. As stated earlier, it's only play when it is freely chosen and self-directed by the children themselves. Children might choose to engage in solitary play. It's really fascinating to watch a child play alone, and doing this can tell us a lot about a child's interests and their abilities. Children also play cooperatively in pairs or groups with peers. Again, observing children in their play as they interact with other children or adults can tell us a lot about them. So it's important that we are making time in our day to do this. Children become deeply engaged in play scenarios or characters they create and can be hard to distract. Through a rich environment, we want to enable these high levels of engagement and interest for the children. And children try new skill. Play serves as a haven for mastering newly acquired skills. So within our learning environments, we need to be providing a variety of play areas which are planned effectively to promote children's skills development across the curriculum. The Scottish Government Play Strategy is essentially Scotland's national play rationale, and it makes absolutely clear the need for play in the lives of children. It states that children's play is crucial to Scotland's well-being, socially, economically and environmentally. Our people are our greatest resource, and the early years of life set the pattern for children's future development. The fun and pleasure of playing is a vital part of a happy childhood, as well as being crucial to children's development as individuals and members of society. So play is intrinsic to our Scottish education system, and as educators we need to understand the value of play and how to provide the right environment for children to thrive through their play. Realising Ambition, which was published by Education Scotland in 2020, is Scotland's national practice guidance for early years, and it helps us to ensure a consistency between practice as children transition from early learning in nursery and into primary school. It highlights the importance of children being given time to play each day in order to follow their own lines of inquiry or individual interests, and it advocates the need to have a consistent pedagogical approach and a play-based curriculum for the playing, learning child across ELK and into primary 1 and beyond. It's a national practice resource to support our youngest learners from the age of 0 to 7, and we'd really encourage all teachers in primary 1 and beyond to familiarise themselves with this resource and to use the principles of realising ambition to plan for high quality interactions, spaces and experiences that are rooted in play. So the UN Convention of the Rights of the Child says that every child has the right to play, and this became part of Scottish law on March 16, 2021. For many children, play is not the same as it was 10 years ago. Children aren't having the same outdoor experiences or extended periods of time for free play. And many of our learners are spending huge amounts of time on screens and are missing out on the benefits that free play has on their development. So it is clear at both national and international level that we have a responsibility and professional commitment to ensure that rich opportunities for play are an integral part of children's education. We're going to have a further look at play in this next video.
I really like playing because it's actually helping me in life with stuff. It helps me know how I'm feeling. It shows people how to just express their feelings without having to hide it from anyone. I really like playing because it's actually helping me in life with stuff. It helps me know how I'm feeling. It shows people how to just express their feelings without having to hide it from anyone.
It just makes me feel free. If I didn't have it to come to, I'd just be in my room watching TikTok on my phone.
It takes you away to different worlds.
You also forget about all your problems and worries.
You're not thinking about anything else apart from what's right in front of you, and I find that really exhilarating.
Fi'n hoffi ti ddim angen cael ei ddweud beth i wneud, ti jyst gallu mynd yn neud beth bynnag ti moyn a chwarae cael hwyl.
Fi'n hoffi bod ni jyst yn gallu bod gyda ffrindiau ni a dim poeni am fel ystol a gwaith.
I love just making new memories and it's always something new.
Cool how you can do whatever you want and can use your imagination to think
Do anything.
Yeah.
If you're being cooped up the whole time, you don't really learn to grasp everything in life. You just gotta get out and have fun.
All work and no play makes you what, exactly? What kind of value can we place on something that is so essential to our human nature? From the earliest moments of our lives, play is crucial to how we grow an understanding of the world around us, discovering who we are and where life can take us. We may forget this as we get older and think play is frivolous, but to children, it's essential.
Chase mission. I can see a volcano heading right for you guys.
It lights up the brain and creates meaning. It helps them make sense of the complexities of life. Sometimes the choices we make as adults can take that opportunity away. We need to nurture play, not neglect it. It should never be a luxury, but a necessity for everyone. So children have space and time to explore and satisfy their curiosity, to make mistakes and learn for
So play is essential, never a luxury, but a necessity. And as Michael Rosen said, play isn't an extra, it isn't an add-on. Play is a fundamental human right. So play is the way that children interact with the world. It's a universal language of childhood, and it's through play that children understand each other and make sense of the world around them. It's a process of observing, testing, trying, imitating and enjoying the environment they are in and the people they are with. It is what children naturally do when given freedom, time and space. Play is when children act for no external goal or reward. They are just following their own whims, interests and desires. In the film, we saw how well outdoors provides a rich environment for play. We need to ensure we are giving children time to play outdoors using our playgrounds and local wild spaces to do so. In our indoor spaces, we can also create rich environments for play, and we'll be taking a look at this in a moment. There are many forms of play. It can be active, passive, solitary, independent, assisted, social, exploratory, or just for fun. Play Scotland have defined the different types of play that children may experience with when they play. They have a great resource that helps us to understand the different types of play that the children might engage in. And this can be accessed by looking at the Play Scotland website, where they have a toolkit which explores the different types of play in more depth, as well as a short video explaining the different types of play. It's important to remember that although the play types are described here, it's not about us categorising play and putting it into little boxes. In play, children will come in and out of various types of play and merge the types of play together. But what the play types do help us do is to recognise how children are emotionally engaged with a whole range of possibilities and help us to understand what's going on in their play. So we'd really encourage you to have a look at this resource. So, a moment for a reflective question. So, what is your most memorable play experience as a child? I wonder what skills you are using. Perhaps take a moment to have a look at the play types on the Play Scotland website and think about what play type were you exploring. Pause the slide to reflect on this question.
Many of you may have described outdoor experiences, freedom, uninterrupted periods of time being able to explore and use your imagination, sociable experiences with friends, being creative with natural resources to enhance your play, the absence of adults, imaginary play, allocating roles within your play. These are just a few examples. When children are playing, they are constantly using and developing skills across many aspects of their development, whether cognitive, physical, or social and emotional. We need to equip our children and young people with the necessary skills to develop skills for learning, skills for life, and skills for work in the 21st century. The top skills that employers are looking for in the 21st century include communication skills, leadership skills, teamship skills, interpersonal skills, and learning adaptability skills. The purpose of the Curriculum for Excellence is encapsulated in the 4 capacities to enable each child or young person to be a successful learner, a confident individual, a responsible citizen, and an effective contributor. The curriculum aims to ensure that all children and young people in Scotland develop the knowledge, skills, and attributes that they will need if they are to flourish in life, learning, and work now and in the future. Play is one of the most predominant ways we can enable our youngest learners to become all 4 of the capacities, and through play, they will develop the attributes and capabilities to support them through life. By playing together in leading or supporting roles, tackling problems, developing resilience, extending communication skills, taking part in sustained talking and thinking, and respecting the opinions of others, children can develop the necessary attributes and capabilities to become effective contributors. Through succeeding in their play, having the sense of accomplishment, learning about bouncing back from setbacks within their play, and dealing with risks, children become more confident in their own abilities and become confident individuals. They become successful learners through the use of imagination and creativity, tackling new experiences and learning from them. They develop important skills, including literacy and numeracy, through exploring and investigating while following their own interests. By encountering different ways of seeing the world through their play, learning to share, to give and take, learning to respect themselves and others, and taking part in making decisions, children are developing the attributes and capabilities necessary to become responsible citizens.
So we've explored the why of play and the what of play, but is this understood across the whole school community? Do all staff, children and families understand the importance of play for the well-being, learning and development of all children? A school rationale for play helps to ensure a shared understanding and a shared vision about the value of play for children's learning and development across the whole school community. It's really important that the value and need for play for children is shared with parents and carers to help them understand why their children or child needs to learn through play and to know what this looks like in the context of their school. Best practice would be to share this sort of information during the Primary 1 introductory transition events which are held for parents.
At Duns Primary School, children across each year group were involved in creating a play rationale, and as part of this process were encouraged to think how play supports their learning and development. Involving children this way ensured a shared understanding across the whole school community of the value for play and the impact it has on their learning. Realising the ambition tells us that the learning environment is not just the physical environment, but the totality of high quality interactions, experiences and spaces, indoors and outdoors, on offer to our children, and we must not view the environment of our interactions, experiences and spaces as separate components when reviewing practice. It describes playful learning within a pedagogy of play. Following this approach means that our role is to consider how and when we interact with children to enhance and develop their learning, what experiences we offer to provoke interest and curiosity and inspire learning, and how we use and organise the space available, both the physical space, indoors and out, and the emotional environment we create. We need to provide our young children with extended amounts of uninterrupted time to play and ensure that we are giving ourselves enough time to observe and interact with children through their play. Only then can we truly value children's play and understand it is a powerful vehicle for learning. When building the curriculum, Active Learning in the Early Years was introduced in 2007. It detailed practical ways to introduce a more active approach to learning and teaching in the early years. Realising the Ambition Being Me 2020 extends and strengthens the approaches introduced in Building the Curriculum 2. Building the Curriculum 2 described active learning as learning which engages and challenges children's thinking using real life and imaginary situations, and it takes full advantage of the opportunities for learning presented by spontaneous play, planned purposeful play, events and life experiences, investigating and exploring, focused learning and teaching. In Primary 1, this active learning approach should build on children's prior learning and the experiences in ELK.
So the 5 active learning experiences shared in the previous slide by Kerry are enabled through a balanced approach of adult-led, adult-initiated and child-led learning. Realising the ambition tells us a balance of responsive and intentional planning is essential in providing suitable experiences that connect with and extend children's interests and motivations. Intentional planning can be thought of as pre-planned experiences that you have purposefully planned, which is adult-led. So for example, a phonics lesson or a short numeracy focus. Or it may be that you have intentionally changed something in your learning environment to provoke interest and curiosity, or have added in a resource to develop a skill where you have noticed there is a gap. When you plan intentionally, it can be because of what you know the children need to learn as part of their early level curriculum. Or it may be because you have observed and noticed a gap in knowledge or skills, and so you want to provide an opportunity for the children to develop these skills. In this way, we are planning intentionally, but we are being responsive to the needs of the children. We can also plan responsively in the moment. So for example, when children are playing, you might notice a teachable moment and respond with some sustained shared thinking, questioning, modelling, demonstrating, or by providing a resource. Responsive and intentional planning go hand in hand and are central to effective planning.
Having a good balance of child-led, adult-led and adult-initiated learning ensures we are providing this important balance of both responsive and intentional learning. In a high-quality, well-planned learning environment, the children will find interesting things to do that match their current needs, and our observations of children as they interact with the spaces and experiences around them will tell us what we need to provide within their learning environment and experiences. These three approaches of learning are explored in more detail in our Balance of the Day training. Take some time to pause and reflect. How well do you understand play? How is play promoted in your current pedagogical practice? Initially, when children arrive into P1, the classroom environment should look fairly similar to that in ELK. This will build familiarity and support the transition for children from ELK to P1. For example, you may have some tables and chairs in the classroom, as perhaps there would have been in ELK, but there is no need for every child to have their own seat or desk. Aim to create spaces where children can explore block play, creative spaces, such as sand, water, arts and craft, and social areas like reading nooks and role play areas. If you're at the very beginning of your play journey, the best place to start is your school nursery. Our ELK practitioners plan highly motivating environments for our youngest learners and should be the first place to go to get ideas and ask for advice in how to set up high quality play environments.
So let's take a closer look at creating our learning spaces. Continuous provision describes all of the different provision areas which are available for your children to use every day to promote learning through play and exploration. So the resources you provide in each area should be engaging and relevant and based on children's needs and skills development. Resources should challenge and promote critical thinking and problem solving while remaining open-ended. And before we explored the idea of symbolic play and the importance of open-ended resources for children to explore this type of play. Good continuous provision should also provide adults with lots of opportunities to support progress through play. When we're supporting progress through play, we're getting high levels of engagement and interest. And so we want to, through our continuous provision, to provide a continuous and constant resource to allow children to explore their interests, develop new skills and concepts, and consolidate learning without always the need for an adult. So doing this independently, but sometimes with an adult as well. It acts as the third adult. So planning effectively for continuous provision is crucial and involves a consideration of classroom layout and resourcing that will enable adults to offer a breadth of learning possibilities. So continuous provision also provides a context for a variety of learning conversations between children and adults, with rich opportunities for modelling and extending speech and vocabulary. It is within the learning environment that children will also develop key learning attributes, and how your environment is planned, resourced, valued and used can impact positively or negatively on children's engagement, their independence, the collaboration, self-confidence, resilience and curiosity. So it's really important that we take time to really think about our continuous provision and plan this effectively. So in this slide, and you may want to pause this to have a closer look at the detail there, you can see some suggested areas of continuous provision. To help organise your classroom, you may decide to adopt the idea of learning zones. So this is where areas of play are organised into a zone. Children will be more likely to be engaged within your continuous provision areas if you create enclosed, clearly defined spaces. So creating provision areas in this way tends to lead to fewer distractions and also provides a context for children to collaborate, form relationships and communicate with one another. As you create the spaces, think carefully about the layout of the room. Consider which areas are likely to work well together or alongside each other in order to promote mathematical thinking or meaningful writing opportunities. So on the slide there, you may note that the provision of small world and open-ended loose parts are likely to feature in each of these zones, and whether you have zones or not, they should be one of the key resources available to children, as we know, they're recognised as a great resource for promoting children's curiosity and supporting a stimulating learning environment. Aspects of reading, writing and maths should be in every area of provision to enable children to develop and consolidate learning across all areas of play. Zones can be indoors or they might be outdoors, created with and by your learners, and can be easily changed depending on your learners' needs and interests. Good continuous provision will really support children not only to establish the skills that are significant to that area of play, but also to land on a multitude of skills that they can take out into other areas of play and life. Continuous provision shouldn't be static and will be ever changing in response to children's needs and interests. It should foster a level of independence and decision making. It's important to note though that depending on your space, zones may not work for you. However, hopefully this visual gives you an idea of the areas of provision that you can provide to create a rich play environment for children.
It is vital to organise resources to ensure they're accessible to the children and to ensure they don't get damaged. You could choose to have a workshop set up in all areas where all resources are available to the children, but not set out by the adult. The children then use the resources in any way they wish. Indoors, you ideally want to keep tables and carpet areas clear and free of equipment, but have resources close by that the children can access easily. A shelving unit for Play-Doh with the tools clearly shadowed for the children to tidy up when they have finished. Shadowing is used to aid tidying, and by shadowing areas such as Play-Doh, construction and musical instruments, it also promotes aspects of maths, such as sorting by size and by shape. Areas should be well stocked and tidied, labelled or shadowed, and this way children are leading their learning and developing their independence and responsibility. Here's an example of the Primary 1 learning space at Duns Primary School. What do you think makes this a high quality space? Take time to pause and reflect. It is important that we understand the purposes and possibilities of our learning spaces and know the skills, knowledge and understanding the children develop as they play in these spaces. On our SBC Play Padlet, we have shared continuous provision plans to help make the link between the play spaces and the curriculum, which could be a good starting point if this is an area of practice you wish to develop your own professional knowledge and understanding of. Hopefully you will have noticed a wide range of play areas and the use of real and authentic open-ended resources. The space was enhanced using provocations and invitations to learn, and you may have noted the provision of relevant books within the sum of the play areas, as well as other meaningful environmental print and mark-making opportunities. A super space with lots of opportunities with children to engage with literacy, numeracy and other areas of the curriculum throughout. In Realising the Ambition, Scotland 2020, interactions are frequently discussed. It tells us that interactions are key to successful play pedagogy. It says, the quality of interactions that children have with adults who are caring for them fundamentally affects not only their enjoyment of early learning and childcare, but also the contribution that this makes to their development. One of the most important things we must do as educators is know our children, really know them, what they enjoy, dislike, find easy, find tricky, and then we can support them much more effectively. How we interact with children is so important. We must always be supportive, nurturing and kind. As it says in Realising the Ambition, children can sometimes feel overwhelmed by emotions and need adults who are calm and consistent and not annoyed or angry. Our own SBC nurturing approach also reminds us of this. Nurture Principle 2, the environment offers a safe base, reminds us that children and families should experience warm, nurturing and welcoming environments, and that the learning environment has a calm and engaging atmosphere. Nurture Principle 3, the importance of nurture for the development of well-being. To do this, we need to ensure that children are warmly welcomed into a calm, secure environment, which is sensitively resourced to meet the needs of all. We need to understand that all behaviour is communication. Therefore, we must interact sensitively with individuals using positive language. Also, we need to be playful with the children. As it says in Realising the Ambition, playfulness does not happen by chance. Learning through play requires a skillful interactions and conversations in environments that support and extend learning and actions. It requires adults who are both playful and knowledgeable of the building blocks of early development and learning in order to support and progress learning appropriately. So have fun with your children, get down to their level and be interested and relaxed. Through observing, adults can respond in the moment to children's interests and needs by enhancing and facilitating learning whilst also considering the next steps. It is through this process of reflection that practitioners are able to facilitate the right kinds of interactions and experiences in considered spaces, both outdoors and indoors, to extend or consolidate learning.
So in the context of interactions, before we continue, we're now going to pause and consider the emotional climate and the culture in our classroom and the central role of you as the adult in this. Realising Ambition states that we often talk about the environment in terms of physical spaces, but the key part of the environment for children is a human, social environment of positive, nurturing interactions. Experiences are also part of the environment. Children need to learn things for themselves, but this does not mean that they should always do so by themselves. We can, by following on and building on children's motivations and interests, support young children to make the most of the environment for learning and development. So pause the slide and take a moment to think about what can you do to ensure that your class is based upon positive, trusting relationships. What needs to be in place to create an inclusive, warm, caring and calm learning environment conducive to learning? As we know, children thrive when their physical and emotional needs are met. So pause the video and take some time to reflect on these questions.
We must provide flexible experiences which are informed by the needs of the children. There are many types of experiences that we facilitate in Primary 1 and beyond to promote, extend or consolidate learning. We know that in the early level and into early first level, it is important that children experience extended amounts of uninterrupted play to initiate their own play and learning. To support cognitive development, the learning environment of experiences, spaces and interactions should be rich in opportunities for children to engage with concepts and foster skills for learning, such as reasoning, creativity and problem solving. It should offer open-ended possibilities in which children can feel intrinsically motivated to explore and investigate through play, including taking calculated risks and learning from mistakes. Here are some examples of experiences we can provide. Invitations. An invitation to play, also known as a play prompt, is a setup of select materials that encourages children to engage in a particular type of play or activity. They are often created to encourage imaginative play, fine motor development, or sensory exploration. Like provocations, invitations to play are open-ended and inspire creativity, but they tend to be more focused on specific types of play or skill development, rather than provoking deep thinking or inquiry. Provocations, in the context of Reggio Emilia approach, is a thoughtfully planned activity or arrangement of materials intended to provoke or stimulate children's thinking, curiosity and exploration. Provocations are designed to invite responses, which can include problem solving, creative thinking, or deepening understanding of a concept. They can stem from a child's interest or an educator's intent to introduce a new concept or idea. They are typically open-ended, without a predetermined outcome, encouraging individual interpretation and response. Outdoor learning is an entitlement for all children and should be a regular, progressive experience. Taking children on regular visits into the playground and beyond the gates provides children with rich, fun and engaging spaces to play and learn. Explore local environments such as the park, local green spaces, woodlands, local beaches, or the local shops throughout the year. As the quote goes by Margaret Macmillan, the best kept classroom and the richest cupboard are roofed only by the sky. The outdoors allows children the freedom to explore and challenge themselves, develops deep understanding of nature, and supports children to assess and manage risk themselves. These are key documentation that will support you to implement play pedagogy. Play pedagogy is being driven by all these documents, so it is important that you use and reflect on them. Realizing the ambition is an obvious place to start, but taking time to familiarize yourself with the guidance, it will help you to consider what it is you are trying to achieve and why. There are also a set of challenge questions to help you critically reflect and guide your practice. The Loose Parts Play Kit is a resource not only to explain the theory and benefits of loose parts play, but it also offers practical guidance. It offers practical advice, ways to audit your existing provision, and templates for requesting quality loose parts. Early Years Play Pedagogy Toolkit is a series of presentations that take you through the theory of play pedagogy, what it looks like in practice, reflective activities, and a further list of reading. Building the Curriculum 2 was created in 2007 as a best practice guide for active learning in the early years.
So we hope that you have enjoyed our introduction to play pedagogy session. Hopefully you now have a better understanding of the national and local key messages in relation to play in Primary 1 and beyond, and a deeper understanding of what play is. We have touched on planning and developing play through our spaces, experience and interactions, which has hopefully helped you to reflect on where you are within your play pedagogy journey and what you need to consider next. Please make sure that you've taken time to do the reflective questions that were posed as part of this session and engage with the follow-up activity that will be explained in the next slide. Engaging in this positive planned action will help you to change practice in classroom and have a greater impact on children. So now for our follow-up activity. We'd like you to take some time to think about what your next step is for developing play pedagogy. Maybe your first point is working with senior management team to develop a play rationale, or maybe it is learning more about play and the different types of play, or perhaps you want to develop your spaces, or think about how you can plan more time for observing play. Perhaps it is to familiarise yourself further with realising the ambition. But whatever your target is, ensure that it is a specific, measurable, achievable and realistic target. Be prepared to share what your target is when you come along to the follow-up session, which is being held on Tuesday the 8th of October.
Future sessions and further training can be booked through Business World. The dates are on the slide.